where he was running and throwing little popping punches, where this fella here really looked the boss, digging in the body shots. It was close. I had Khan 1 point up going into the last round, but I think he's thrown it away with that points deduction. It's got to be close, but we have to remember we're boxing away from home here, and the aggressor 90% of the time tonight was Lamont Peterson.
I thought Khan started excellently, and then Peterson took over. He looked like the boss. Khan was probably outpointing him, outscoring him in some of the rounds, but Peterson looked the boss. He was dictating. He was dictating the terms. He was pushing forward, and it was the big shots, body shots on the ropes. He looked very good, and you know, you were just worried that maybe he's going to go against Khan here because of that.
Khan might just get out of this. He's turned it all upside down.
Well, he was the fighter in the ring tonight, and the fighter has been rewarded. Tremendous performance. He could not have given 1 ounce more. So Amir Khan got the tactics wrong. The points deductions robbed him of his 2 titles. But he cannot. I'm disappointed for Amir Khan. Obviously we wanted him to win, but I cannot feel disappointed for Lamont Peterson, the life he's had and what he laid on the line tonight.
He really did. He really did. That rumour that swept round the ring was a false one. The points deduction, as you say, Jim, have cost him dear. But you can't feel bad for Lamont Peterson. I mean, what a performance from him tonight.
Yeah, you're right on both counts there, Nick. I think definitely the points deduction, particularly on the 113, 112 card. That was a low-scoring card, so it would have been 114, 113. You know, those points, they were crucial. They lost him the fight. Lamont Peterson, you have to feel happy for him. Disappointed for Amir Khan, but you know, Lamont Peterson, the life he's had to win the world title in his hometown.
What are your feelings at this moment?
It was a long road, and all the hard work paid off. The win couldn't come any other way. Tough fight, down early again, and I just got to grind the whole fight to come back and win the fight. Couldn't have been a better night.
You had a chance to fight him last year in Britain. You walked away from the biggest payday of your life to take a fight for a fraction of that amount of money. What does that say about you as a fighter and as a person?
As a person, I stand for something. I don't go for anything. I've been taught that since I was young, not to fall for anything. And in the ring, I'm the same way. As you can see, you know, a lot of people, you know, I was a big underdog. A lot of people thought Khan was going to win. Early on, they probably were saying, yeah, I knew it was going to be this way. But, you know, I stand for something. I'm not just going to lay down to anyone. So I fight the whole way through.
All right, this fight had a lot of changes as well as a lot of exchanges. When did you realize that you just can't box with him and you've got to go to plan B and or C?
Maybe 2 or 3 rounds. Every time I pulled back, he was coming in, catching me. And they credited him with a knockdown when I pulled back and he hit me and kind of swept my leg. So I said, you know what, this probably ain't the best thing to do because it's going to keep happening. So I just wanted to go forward and change the game plan. I told you we had 3. I went with number 2 and it worked.
You were always regarded as a boxer. Now you're a boxer and a brawler. You put it all out there. When did you see that he was in something that he wasn't expecting?
Well, you know, I always like to come out and box. Been that way ever since I was an amateur. But my coach told me to start working in the inside, and then I started doing it, and it just was a habit after that. I see that it works, you know, in long distance fights. I wear people down, I go to the body well, so I just continue to do it.
What did you think about the point deductions from him for pushing?
I think that far as I think they should have took points for him holding my head down. A lot of times I didn't bend all the way down. It was about this high, and he would just pull my head down. I think they should have took points from that. He was pushing a lot, but I didn't mind it. I didn't like that dipping down to the head.
You're a champion now. This was a very entertaining fight. Would you give him a rematch?
I would definitely give him a rematch. He gave me a chance to fight for a world title. Why not? You know, it was a good fight. I'm pretty sure everyone enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Thank you very much for an outstanding fight.
All right, thanks.
We're too quick for him, and then he decided to make a brawl out of it and got into you. What were your thoughts at the time as he was getting ahead of steam?
Well, Larry, you know, first of all, it was like I was against two people in there, the referee and Lamont himself. Every time he was coming into me, and he kept putting his head low. I mean, I tried. He just kept putting his head low, and I just couldn't get going. My jabs were getting him. I was a more cleaner fighter. He was so wild in there. And, you know, like I said, I was against two people in there. The referee just wasn't giving me a chance.
Did you hear him give a warning before the first point deduction?
Well, yeah, they were giving the warning, but I couldn't do anything. He was coming so low. I mean, it was just going to come in with his head. Every time I tried to keep him away from me, he just kept coming low and low after that. So, you know, Larry, I tried, man. End of the day, you know what? I was against two people in there. I was the cleaner fighter in there. And, you know, no wonder there's never been boxing in DC for the last 20 years, because this is what happens. I mean, he was the home fighter, and, you know, that was just what...
So you're saying these were hometown decisions by the referee?
Definitely. You know what? I was against him and the referee in his hometown.
Let's take a look at what we were looking at here as you're pushing him away when his head was down.
I had to push him away, Larry, because his head was coming so low. Every time he kept coming low, I mean, I just had to keep my hand on top of him because he kept coming in with his head. I mean, his head was in front of his front foot. I would try my best to keep away from that head, but he just kept coming in with that head.
Still, in the late rounds of the fight, he was pushing you around, making you change your game plan, moving around. He was being effective with his style of brawling.
He was being effective, definitely. He kept coming in with it. I mean, he was being very pressurizing. I was a cleaner fighter. I was the one countering him every time he kept coming in. I was a cleaner fighter. All he kept doing was coming in. But you know what? I was in DC. I mean, I'm ready for a rematch. He wants another fight. I'm here. I'm still ready. And you know what? It was just one of them things. When you're in DC, you have to win a lot convincingly.
Freddie Roach, were those penalties traditional in boxing, real in boxing? And what did you see?
Well, the way he attacked, he came in with it. He rushed in with his head first, and he's either get headbutted or push his head down.
Were you surprised by how hard and persistent and tough Lamont Peterson was tonight?
You know, I knew he was going to be tough because he's fighting in his home backyard. He's going to come fighting hard. He's going to have the crowd behind him. And, you know, he did what he had to do. But I was a much cleaner fighter, and every time I tried...
It's not about clean fighting, Amir. It's about fighting and landing punches.
Exactly, and I really think I was a much cleaner, and I was landing the precise punches and with power and speed.
Thank you very much. It was a terrific fight, and we hope to see you again.
So Khan very, very unhappy. It's disappointment in DC as Khan loses his world titles. This is the reaction from our guests on the night: Steve Collins, Barry McGuigan and Johnny Nelson.
I think Khan didn't respect Peterson, therefore thought it'd be an easy job, and that's where the problem started. And he just thought he'd have it his own way. Peterson had a game plan, stuck to it. Khan should have been able to box him, keep him long, but he thought he could walk through him, thought it'd be a pushover.
Underestimated him.
Yeah, I think he was probably a bit like us, looking too far ahead, looking at the next fight, underestimating how good Lamont Peterson was. Peterson fought a tactically great fight, backed him up, and even though some of his aggression wasn't effective, it looked good to the judges, and he kept on top and kept forcing him back, and those two critical decisions in round 7 and round 12 lost him the fight. And, you know, he was bitter afterwards and will want a rematch, but this is hugely upsetting for him, and you know, derailed some potentially super fights down the line. So it's a huge knock to him, a huge setback.
Can you understand the bitterness?
I don't sense bitterness. I think he's upset. I think he expected to win. But you know, Lamont Peterson won it on heart tonight. And when you look at his history and his life and how he lived, it's his heart and his determination and his belief is what carried him through life and got him to where he is today. And it's his heart, determination and belief is what won him the fight. I had it even going into the last round. But the point deduction to me, you know, it was a clear decision. It was Lamont's night.
I think the referee did a good job. I think he did a splendid job from the off. He was fair. He was firm. He said what he saw. He warned Khan time after time after time.
He told him,
do not push.
Agreed.
And
he told him,
I thought it was
stop
a spot on ref.
Stop pushing his head down. Don't do that. And he warned him so many times. And if you actually look at when that happened in the last round, which was the critical round, because the fight was so close and so balanced going into that, he pushed his head down, and then as he walked in, he hit him with an uppercut. He said,
well, let's take you through the action. It was a fast start.
Yeah, well,
from
we thought it was going to be a fast start.
Can I just say something here? What a great fight.
It was
one of the best fights I've seen for a long time, and I definitely think a rematch will happen in Vegas.
And this is actually,
and I fancy Khan in Vegas, but we'll
I fancy Khan next time too. But this is, we thought he was going to get out of the blocks quick, and maybe he should have had 2 knockdowns in the first round, and maybe that extra point would have helped him near the end, and might have settled him a little bit more. But he had him over once, you know, controversially. We certainly had him over then properly at the end of the first round.
It was the speed from Khan that had him over, frustrated him. He didn't know where he was, lost his footing, and that. So we thought, yeah, this is how the pattern of this fight's going to be set. The speed of Khan is going to frustrate Peterson. He'll make a mistake, but Peterson's determination.
Well, he showed that in the third and fourth, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he suddenly came into the fight, and we always knew that. I always believed that if he got over the first 3 rounds, he would become a danger man. And then he started chopping, and you know, here we were saying, what is he doing this for? Why is he staying on the ropes? Why is he allowing this guy to tee off like that? And I know there was too much bravado. He was shaking his head and saying, "Come on in, you're not hurting me," which of course is a sign that he has been hurt. But you know, it was a terrific, as Stevie said, it was a terrific fight. But it wasn't the proper fight tactically. Look at this sort of stuff here.
What I did was I judged Amir on his fight with Zabjuda, with Maidana, and I'm thinking if this guy performs like that, this will be a shutout inside 4 rounds. But I think as champion, this is probably his worst performance as champion because he made so many mistakes. He was so open.
Say that, John.
But that's my opinion. That's just my opinion.
No, I think he performed pretty well.
Terrific fight.
I think Khan showed a lot, and I think Khan showed a lot more. I think he performed very well tonight, but I don't think his performance is down to the fact that Lamont didn't let him perform as well as he could. He smothered him, he roughed him up, he crowded him, he gave him a lot of angles. He upset him. He didn't let him get into a groove. Khan to me showed a lot tonight. He showed strength, he showed determination, he showed heart.
Khan is better than what we saw, Steve.
Well, he's not
better than what we saw. He was only allowed to fight as good as the opponent let him. Lamont tonight fought out of his shell.
Let's not take away from
surprised us all. And the heart and determination he showed tonight, no disrespect, he deserved the win.
So a lively debate in the studio on the undercard in Washington, D.C.